Welcome to Rage Against the Mainstream, your full spectrum source for all things music, insight, and opinion. Welcome back for Season 4. My name is Bill, and I'm joined here, as always, with Steve.
Yo.
So, there's been a pretty decent gap in between the last time you were here versus now.
Yeah.
So, what's the story? Where have you been, Obi-Wan?
Obi-Wan, yeah, very good, if anybody's been watching that series. So, yeah, I mean, everybody knows I've been in school for the bowling licensing. I'm a certified pin setter now. I still am out in Wichita. I kind of had an issue. I was involved in a high-stakes bowling tournament, and some gentleman made me an offer of cash supplement to grease the pins, as they would say, to, kind of make it easier. And and I had 3 guys on the same team bowl at 300, all 3 of them.
That's crazy.
So yeah, it raised a lot of red flags. There was an investigation, so I'm kind of back in Jersey to kind of let that smooth over.
You're staying low.
I'm like Obi-Wan and Tatooine after the entire Jedi Order fell at the end of Episode 3. So what you see in the Obi-Wan prequel series is essentially what's going on for me on the run from the bowling commission in Wichita. Yeah,
that's funny. It almost sounds something similar to like the movie Kingpin.
Basically.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
You really Munson that one.
I sure did.
Speaking of Munson, well, I guess that for this episode, since it's been so long, I mean, this is the longest break we've ever had in between seasons.
Yeah.
Like ever.
It's my longest break that I've had ever.
Yeah.
Ever.
So much has happened.
Yeah. Oh.
So basically, this is like a new and interesting episode, per se.
New and interesting.
Insert sound clip. New and interesting.
Like the old the Monster Jam. Sunday, Sunday, Sunday.
I'll make sure to add like harmonies on top of it.
Yeah.
Like, you'll find out about that joke later on in the season.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Oh.
So,
That's interesting.
Speaking of Munson, Metallica, Stranger Things.
Yeah.
I knew there was going to be something epic.
Yeah.
With that. Actually, this is all, oh yeah, duh. Today's August 1st, 2022. And if you haven't watched Stranger Things Season 4 yet, I guess skip forward like a couple minutes.
Let's put a whole like blip in there where it's just like a "we'll be right back" with a spoiler logo just in case. Yeah, I mean,
yeah. If you're watching this on YouTube, just skip ahead until you see the spoiler-free section.
Yes.
So when I saw the character of Eddie, I was like, "Oh my god, this is amazing!" Like finally.
Yeah.
And then I knew there was gonna be something epic going on. I had no idea it was going to be Metallica.
Well, first, the buildup of his character essentially was always great because timeline, it was perfect. I mean, and I think after like the first couple episodes, well, at least when that first half of the season dropped, there was information that was provided a few days after it was released where even like the patch on the back of his denim jacket over his leather was a patch given from the Ronnie James Dio estate. So it was like a legitimate patch of the time frame. I mean, so his character was, the one thing I love about Stranger Things is they take a lot of like care to their writing. Very precise. They keep the, the essence of whatever decade they're in, whatever specific year they're in, and they pay attention to the small details. And like little things like that, I always find better because then it makes the character more fucking authentic.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's just like they just take so much pride in all of it.
Yeah.
I mean, like, let's go back to Season 3, the Starcourt Mall.
Yeah.
Like, if you had fallen into a time capsule or some shit, and you had no idea that you were in there for fucking 40 years.
Yeah.
And you came out in the Starcourt Mall, you would believe that you haven't left time at all.
And what the thing about it is, too, it's one of those shows where it's so popular, but I've yet to see a video come out about, like, mistakes and fuck-ups and things like that. Like, you watch shows from, or movies that are, like, huge budgets, and it's, like, from, like, 1986 is when it's shot, and they're, like, it's shot in, like, the 1950s, and all of a sudden they show a scene where there's a fucking plane in the sky during a record. Oh,
exactly.
The one that, it was Troy with Brad Pitt. Like, during the Greek fucking war, and there's a plane in the fucking sky at one of the recordings. And then the Game of Thrones thing where they forgot to remove the fucking Starbucks cup. Like, these are big budget, huge production shows and little details like that, come on, man. Like, during the medieval times, nobody was going and getting a fucking ice mocha latte, in between the walkers trying to invade the wall.
No one was getting their basic white bitch on.
No. But apparently they were in the Lannister kingdom, so yeah.
Maybe there was one that they just weren't talking about.
Yeah. Yeah.
Hey, anything's possible.
But also going back to the Munson thing, did you see the recording where he's like actually playing Master? Yeah. And see, shit like that I like too, because now it's not like someone just kind of like forced into the role of like, here, let's adapt this. Even though it was recorded by Rob's son.
Yeah, Rob Trujillo's son.
And they played that over. It's still the fact like he had a passion to even like have this character in mind. He fit the role perfectly, played it perfectly, brought a real authentic, perception of that character.
Let's go back to that for a second. How is the bass player of Metallica's son able to do more justice to a song than the guys that actually wrote it?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like at first when he was playing it, I was like, oh, they just pulled a guitar stem, whatever. They made it work.
Yeah.
And then there was like a couple little sections in there where I was like, okay, this isn't the same track.
Yeah.
And then come to find out it's Robert's son. I was like, oh, man.
Yeah. How do you feel about when like pop culture shows like this create a, I guess like an influx of, fans, I guess you could say, for older music that didn't even know it existed? Well,
I'm not one to be like a gatekeeper type thing. Well, and plus, especially not with a band like Metallica anymore.
Of course.
Because Metallica is so like, they're so like mainstream. They're so in the middle of everything that literally everyone knows Enter Sandman.
Yeah.
And there's probably a good chance that mostly everyone has heard Master of Puppets.
Yeah.
Metallica is like the AC/DC now. You know what I mean? Yeah. They're the AC/DC of metal. Everyone's heard them. Everyone knows about them. So like in that aspect, I can't be like super upset, but it is kind of cool though that these kids are getting into Metallica based off of that album.
Yeah.
And it's not like, hey, I heard Saint Anger and I thought it was pretty good.
Yeah. It is a good. That's like I always say like my favorite's Ride the Lightning, but if I'm going to introduce someone, it's got to be Master of Puppets, just to get you head start. But my thing is that I find funny is that a lot of like bands from that era, like the Kate Bush thing too, was also huge. And the cool thing about that is Kate Bush has the rights to all of her music. And I saw like a little post the one time.
She's like mega rich now.
Mega rich because of the royalties that she's gotten from that song being streamed since Stranger Things. And I think that's great because it's getting a lot of respect back to these artists where, most kids of like younger generations, they don't like, I couldn't just like put on Metallica and get you to have the interest initially. Like nowadays, most people, the way they think is like, as long as it's tied into something that's already popular and something that I'm enjoying, then I'll find the interest in it. So for instance, if this is now 3 years in the past and I'm sitting down with, my 14-year-old nephew at the time saying like, yo, check this out, like, and trying to put on Master of Puppets, there's no immediate interest.
Yeah.
But they love Stranger Things. So then that song comes on and then it's funny. It's like, oh, what was that? And I got to go back.
Exactly.
Like, I tried to get you to listen to this 3 years ago, but it's cool because again, like then you see like even Fleetwood Mac had the whole thing when Dreams blew up and now Kate Bush is blowing up, Metallica's blowing up, and it's getting a lot more interest because I also think simultaneously, and this is again probably my very narrow-minded perception and opinion, that there was just more talent back then.
Oh, yeah.
Like music today, I'm not saying is bad. I'm just saying the talent that's necessary is not as important. Like John Bonham and like Led Zeppelin, like you had to have talent to even like, you didn't have the luxury of technology. You just had to have a good voice. I mean, most of those people, and I even going back to like the Kill 'Em All days, one of the big reasons that was a selling point for most people because they were no longer looking at these faces of these glam bands. They were like some ugly motherfuckers.
Yeah.
But they had talent. They brought like something to the music scene that hadn't been really done before and created history.
About the Kate Bush thing, I'm going to go out on a thing here. This is gonna polarize our audience here.
Probably.
I am fucking over that song.
Well, you know what you need to do?
What?
You need to do what I do now. I mix it up with the Placebo cover. Placebo covered it.
Okay.
They did a cover album, and that's on there. So I kind of mix it up just to keep the same aesthetic, but just a different version of it.
Here's the thing, dude. This song has like transcended past, whatever genre it was considered when it had come out.
Yeah.
Dude, it's on fucking 104.5. It's on 95.7. It's on
Q102.
It's on fucking 96.5. I have yet to hear it on 93.3, but it's literally on every station in between.
It's going to be on 94.1, which is now the Eagle station all of a sudden.
They're going to play it.
Yeah.
But here's my major gripe with this song, and I think you can attest to this. I said this to Nicole. I don't feel like that would be Max's favorite song considering where she grew up and what she was into, something tells me she was probably more into something like Black Flag or the Circle Jerks.
That's
or
kind of what her
something like
character
that.
gave you an idea of in season 3 as well.
Maybe the Beach Boys.
But there's also, too, the hidden notion that if you look at me as a person, you wouldn't see me playing Red, Taylor's version by Taylor Swift in my alone time.
That's true.
You know, but it happens.
I mean, I guess. But, like I said, you just put the show into perspective and everything they've showed you about her.
Yeah.
Like what would lead you to believe that would be her favorite song?
Yeah.
You know
and it's
what I mean?
also, too, I always thought to that scene, which was funny because that was that's the one thing that would have been made it more sense. Like every season, if you can kind of go back, there is like tied connections to like, okay, now this makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
Like throughout this entire season in particular, I was like, where's Vecna in this whole storyline? Are they just introducing a new character, introducing a new plot line? And then they tied it all in at the end, of course. But for Lucas to have that much pressure and just know it and have it, it's two things in my mind. It would have been cooler in the event that, there was like a scene in season 3 where that was like a big connection piece and like they made a big like moment of it where it's like, why did they make such a big moment of that? And then they're like, oh shit, now I see. And the other thing I thought of, what a lot of fucking pressure for Lucas. Yeah, what if he got that shit wrong?
He was the unsung hero of this season.
I'm telling you right now, if I watched you fucking floating up right now, I'd have to just like start scrolling through Van Halen songs to figure it the fuck out. I'm not really sure. You might break all your limbs before I could get to the right one on that. And for all I know is it's some like Zakk Wylde hidden track that I didn't even know existed that you've been listening to in your free time that
It honestly, at this point in time, it's probably Midlife Crisis.
I've noticed you've been on that Faith No More
Dude,
kick.
it's just like, I don't know, like there's just something about that song.
Angel
like,
Dust is a great album.
I think it's something, I don't know. I think I have like an OCD type thing when it comes to certain things that I find interesting.
Yeah.
I've like completely overanalyzed that song way more than anyone should have. Like I'm pretty sure at this point in time, like me and Mike Patton can sit down and talk about that song at length. And we could probably be matched. Like in talking about
and
it,
you
even
say
though
some
he's the
things
guy
about
wrote
that
it.
he's the only one that knows about it that
Exactly.
he was also thinking at the time that he has never expressed to anybody else.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Like I don't know. It's just something about me that like when I find something interesting, I beat it to absolute death.
Yeah.
And at this point in time, I think that would be the song to break me out of Vecna's curse. Has actually, you know what's funny too? Spotify did a playlist of songs that would break you from Vecna, right? It was like the Upside Down playlist. Yeah, I went on that fucking shit. All it was just a promotion thing for Stranger Things. Because I had like the re-recorded Rock You Like a Hurricane from the show. It had the Kate Bush song.
Because that would definitely get me out of it, the re-recorded version of Rock You Like a Hurricane.
Yeah, it wasn't even good. Like, it was just like, granted, those dudes like fucking 80 now. But it doesn't have the power of the original one.
I know.
And that Kate Bush song, that would just trap me with Vecna. That would close everything. Vecna would be like, sorry.
He'd feel like bad for he'd be like feeling bad for you, like because it'd be like you'd be like begging to die at this point. Is this your yellow submarine moment?
I guess I'll just let you go.
You've dealt with enough. It's your yellow submarine trip all over.
Yeah, literally.
Car ride with Kate Bush.
But like that's the thing though, like I'll give it to Kate Bush. At the point in time, it probably was a pretty decent song, but in the high, like looking at it now and how she was able to secure all of the rights, all the publishing, the record companies must have been like, we're not touching this piece of shit.
I know,
like we're not touching this. You can fucking have.
There's
it.
some
Good
like
luck.
90-year-old man that probably passed on it and was like animate about it, who's like to this day, up until the point of that release, was like. That was his like defining moment in life was to tell Kate Bush to fuck off.
Yeah.
We don't want no parts of this.
You know
and
who
now
was a producer on that, right?
Who?
Gilmore. David Gilmore.
Really?
He's the one that found her.
Good guy, man.
She's only had one, I don't want to say she's only had one live performance, but she never played live at all.
Really?
There's only one recording of that live.
Yeah.
And Gilmore plays guitar on it.
Oh, wow.
Mm-hmm. Found that out the other day.
That's a good fact. That's a very interesting fact.
Yeah.
I like it. I like David Gilmore.
So, to not turn this into a complete Stranger Things episode.
Yeah. New and Stranger Things.
Yeah, new and I like that. That's the name of this episode.
Look at that. That's how it happens right there.
Actually, you know what? I'm writing this down right now. New and Stranger Things.
That's how it happens. We have a complicated formula here at Rage Against the Mainstream.
Often imitated, never replicated.
Of course.
So, I guess I want to go. We didn't even do fucking music history yet.
Yeah, let's just give some few things for the fans out there.
Yeah, so on this day in music history, I'll let you start this one off, Steve.
August 1st, 1942, beloved singer, frontman of the iconic jam band Grateful Dead, Jerry Garcia is born. Since we won't actually be on the airwaves in the following week, on August 9th, he actually died. So within about 8 days of his birthday, same, born and die many years later. But yes, Jerry Garcia. The funny thing with Grateful Dead is I'm like one of those weird fans where I say I like them and I don't get the I don't give the reaction that most people expect when I say that. They think, like if you're a Grateful Dead fan, there's got to be some like underlying, like you're an absolute, you're
deadhead.
Yeah, like you're a war frat, like you're going to all the shows and following them, and it's like I really like them, but I don't like them to the extent that like you're supposed to like them, I guess. I'm not a Fish fan. I'll start and say
I never got it. I never got the
and that's what I mean. Like I get it, but I don't. There's never been a point to me that really was like I found that same like phenomenal. And where I work is I work at a what should I call this? A rehabilitation center. I'll just call it that.
Yeah, for broken bowlers.
And I felt so bad because I did a music group at one point, and it's an hour-long group, and there's about 20 people. So everyone gets an opportunity to choose a song around the 3, 4, 5 minute mark and, process it afterwards, whatever. And there was this one guy in there, and I just didn't know how to, put my, foot down and trying to establish boundaries. He was like 75 years old, just stuck in his ways, and he picked... and of course, like every major Dead fan, you can't just listen to the recording of Shakedown Street or whatever song you choose. You can't choose the album version. You got to choose that weird, obscure 22-minute version from a specific show in 1969, like on the date and time, because like Dick's picks and all this stuff. So we picked a version of the song. I didn't realize this had already happened. So as soon as it was his turn to pick a song, I could see the faces in the room knowing what was about to happen. This man picked a version of Shakedown Street that lasted about 25 minutes long. And nobody knew what to say. He's an old man, and nobody knew how to turn this shit off. We're sick of this. So I listened to about, I want to say 14 minutes before I said, let's give everybody else a chance, and that 14 minutes was not good enough for him. These Deadheads, man, I'll tell you, it's just not good enough. Not good enough.
I can only imagine what that would look like.
I'm pretty sure you ever seen, remember Billy Madison?
Yeah.
Where Steve Buscemi has the list of people to kill? I'm probably on there.
He wrote it with the lipstick.
I cut Shakedown Street off 11 minutes too soon. It was a damn shame.
Moving on here to 1971, talking about earlier with a total fuck up, a missed opportunity. Tony Kaye, keyboardist, quits Yes. He is later replaced by Rick Wakeman, just in time for Yes to reach the upper stratosphere of all prog rock bands worldwide.
Yeah. I always think about that. We should do an episode about that.
What, like
guys
people
that left right before,
It's funny you mention that because I just watched a video on that.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Did you know that Weezer's original guitar player left in the middle of the recording of the Blue album?
Oh.
Could you imagine that?
Yeah.
Just talk about the ultimate kick in the balls.
Yeah, I think because Dave Mustaine with Metallica, he did his own, but Ron McGovney, you know what I mean? He was on all those demos and EPs. I think the No Life Till Leather before Cliff came in.
Think of Mark Stone.
Paul Diamore of Tool. He was there for Undertow. Fucking, what's his name with Nirvana, the second guitarist?
Oh, our resident Nirvana guy.
And he quit,
he quit right after Bleach was recorded, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, and then you have Mark Stone, who was in Van Halen and left, and they wound up getting Michael Anthony. Yeah. Missed opportunities in Stranger Things.
Yeah, it is.
Well, we'll write that one down. That'll be another topic.
Yeah, there it is.
So, moving on to 1981.
1981, back when it was actually a very watched and enjoyable television network, MTV premieres 12:01 a.m. on this date with the most known first ever music video. Video Killed the Radio Star by Buggles. It's cool because, I mean, it's just my childhood, your childhood, even those before us in this time frame. Like, waking up in the morning and just turning on MTV before school was like the motivation I needed to fucking go to school.
That's how I knew what to talk about that day.
Yes, I know. That's literally, yeah.
Because around the time you're getting up for school, Headbangers Balls on.
I know, man. And if you go back and just see, there's just like an early vibe of like all that era of MTV that just, it was like, I don't know what it was. It was just such a good feeling to watch that. And it's funny because then I was watching MTV this morning and like my like Ridiculousness was on. And is that like the only thing that's on that channel anymore?
It's literally the only thing on that fucking channel.
Like,
Rob Dyrdek owns MTV.
He basically does. I don't know what happened. Like, they sold their soul to Rob, or he sold his soul to somebody to get that.
It was his the fucking hypnotherapy that he went to.
Jesus, yeah.
You know that, right? That's part of his story.
Yeah.
He went to a hypnotherapist to get him on track to be a business mogul.
Well, there it is.
And it happened.
Now he owns MTV.
Yeah, now
we don't know it. He's a fucking Illuminati.
Rob Dyrdek owns MTV. I think that might be a pretty good clickbaity title.
Yeah.
Rob Dyrdek owns MTV.
There it is right there.
However, in the land before Rob Dyrdek, we're going to call this BR. 1996 BR. MTV2 debuted. I don't know if it was at 1201, but MTV2 became a channel. But
I'm pretty sure that show's on there too. Like, anything with MTV, even if it's like MTV Espanol, like he's on there.
Me amo Rob Dyrdek.
Yeah, como está? Like, yeah, he's everywhere. It is like the Carlos Mencia of late night Nickelodeon, but Rob and Ridiculousness on 24/7.
MTV2 I spent way more time on.
I did too.
There was better shit on there.
I agree.
Well, because around the time that we were introduced to MTV, it was when all the bullshit started.
That's right, when reality TV started. Like
exactly.
The Real World started coming on.
And MTV2, there's only two channels you can go to get good shit in the morning. One was MTV2 and the other one was Fuse.
Yep.
Fuse
VH1 was okay for a period of time too.
Yes.
BET, I really liked BET and like the morning wake up with what is it? 106 in Park usually had some like good music videos on in the morning. But yeah, MTV was just like nonstop like music. And then the unplugged sessions and stuff that was still pretty relevant in the mid 90s.
That's where I'd find Headbangers Ball on MTV2 in the morning.
Yep.
So I'll never forget that day.
Got nothing.
Fucking seeing Death Walking Terror for the first time.
Yeah.
On my way to school, and I was just like thinking, like as I'm walking to school, like how am I supposed to go to school now?
This is it.
Like this is the coolest shit I've ever heard. Let me go find out if anyone else ever heard of this Cannibal Corpse band.
Yep.
And of course, no one did.
Yep.
So then I went home and jumped on LimeWire.
And had to find it. Probably downloaded the wrong version 3 different times before you got it.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure there was some like obscure cover version. I was like, man, this must be the early stuff.
It's just funny
Death
because
Walking Terror
I'm thinking
in
now
Espanol.
with like music videos, man. It's just I can't remember the last time I turned on TV at all to watch music videos. And like back in the day, music videos were so like part of the song. Like to this day, the first thing that comes to mind is like the Soul Survivor music video by Young Jeezy, like where they did kind of like a mashup of like Paid in Full and did that whole like scenario of like what that movie was about. And I just remember how like even in the club with 50 Cent or How We Do with The Game, like I remember music videos back in the day being like a focal point of why I liked the song to begin with. Even like the Tool videos when they were first coming on MTV. Now it's like...
I remember a music video that kind of like changed my way of thinking was Through the Eyes of the Dead, Failure in the Flesh, I believe that's what it was. And dude, it was like, it was the most brutal shit I had ever seen. And it was like, it was them like in the woods and like there were certain like sections in like black and white. And I was like, this is the coolest shit ever. And there was zombies and shit.
Yeah.
And it was just brutal.
Yeah.
And
that was like Cannibal Corpse was devoured by vermin, or it was like black and white and it looked like a fucking snuff film the entire time. And I was just like, it was like one of those videos you would watch, and like if I heard my dad, I'd just like lower it. Like, I hope news coming in.
I remember doing that with the Visceration Plague. When that video first came out, I remember like I was like trying to be real quiet downstairs. My dad was sleeping on the couch because he had gotten in, early. Well, my dad always worked overnights. So, he's like just getting home and like getting to sleep and all of a sudden.
Hated you.
Yeah.
Hated you.
And literally, because like for those two particular Cannibal Corpse songs, it's just. and like that's it. Like that, and to me as a teenager, I was like, this is the best shit ever.
Yeah, life changing.
There is nothing heavier.
MTV, if you're listening, you did change lives at one point. Now
you're just a disappointment now. We're not mad. We're just disappointed.
Did you grow up in BR? Hit us up on our social medias.
Are you traumatized by the new endeavors of MTV? You may be entitled to compensation.
AR. That's MTV in a nutshell. BR and AR.
Yeah.
Yep. There it is.
So that wraps up music history for today.
So going back to the idea of new and Stranger Things, lots happened, man. A lot has happened.
A lot has
music
happened
since the last time we've been on. I don't know what you want to start with particularly.
Well, I wrote down a few like pretty decent ones that happened. Mm-hmm. One that I would like to say is something that I could have seen coming, but I wasn't sure when it was going to happen. All the members of Azalea Dying quit the band.
Yeah,
they all left except for the one guitar player. Nick Hippa is now in, for my other thing, the reunited God Forbid. Mm-hmm. He's playing guitar now, and basically everyone else just fucking up and left.
Yeah.
That makes me wonder, though, if they're going to reunite Woven War and maybe do that, because I thought Woven War was way better than Azalea Dying anyway. Mm-hmm. But yeah, it's just kind of funny. And like all of them had like different reasons, but it was all like, if all you motherfuckers left and the only person that's left is Tim, there's probably something there. You know what I mean?
It's not being said.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not casting stones or anything, but if everyone else is left,
kind of a common denominator, and
there's probably something there.
Yeah.
Tim, get in touch with us. We want to hear your side of the story.
Hit us up on our social medias.
Maybe not hit us up, maybe just write to us.
Yeah. Calmly and pleasantly.
Yeah, please.
I value my life.
Yeah. Dude, if that motherfucker came busting through this door, there would be some serious problems.
Probably.
Like, I don't even think, like, me and you would be able to handle him for, like, maybe we keep him busy for, like, a minute.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Yeah.
And then it would be over.
We just have to grease the floor and he'll be there with his ACL.
Yeah, you'd see me and Steve doing, like, shit from Home Alone.
Yeah.
Come and get me.
Yeah. So, also, there's a lot of new albums that came out from a variety of different artists and genres, but the one thing I want to talk about, since we kind of discussed it briefly, talking about, this is older than Azalea Dying, but bands and ways we see them, and also as opposed to breaking up, but reuniting. Rage Against the Machine.
Yup.
We talked briefly too. So I technically have tickets. I don't personally have tickets. Someone I'm very close with has tickets and has had these tickets for quite some time. And there appears to be I want to say a family obligation that's preventing the opportunity to go. But I saw Rage, at least on the first show back, and
it was good.
It was good. Rage gets a lot of heat with their political insight, things like that. And this goes back to episodes that we've done previously where, separating the artist from the ideals and the understanding that, yeah, whatever. If there's a lot of things I don't agree with and there's a lot of things I do agree with.
Yeah, but that's their whole basis.
Yeah, I'm going to tell you exactly. I'm going to tell you right now, but it's also like the contradiction of it. Like, I forget who it was, called out Tom Morello for his pedal, with the star on it and everything, and just, it's like how much money, was spent on that thing, and, what kind of like slave labor essentially constructed that in China, and how much of a contradiction that is. And granted, yeah, okay, it's all good, but to see Rage live, granted, ticket prices are fucking through the roof, which, I mean, of course, for any band that hasn't been around for quite some time, that has a lot of popularity behind them, like, people are going to go, and it's going to cost money, but that is a bucket list band.
Yeah, but that also, I mean, not to turn this into like a full-blown hating on Rage thing by any means, but that pretty much goes against everything they stand for.
It 100% does.
Yes. They took the idea of capitalism that they hate much.
This is what, and that's what disturbs me, and this is where it puts me in a really, like, even Tool. I love Tool, but for you to release a LP and pretty much sell it for $1,000 fucking dollars, like, come on. Like, come on. But see, the thing with Rage is, again, it's a lot of the contradictions and what their music is supposed to be for, and then they turn around and do the complete opposite. It's so hard for me to sit there and say that, like, I don't want to see Rage on this
exactly
because especially the way they sound. Like, it'd be one thing if it was like Vince Neil up there type stylings of like Motley Crue and a Rage rendition. I would just be able to rationalize better off. Like, yeah, your contradictions make me not want to see your music, and also the fact that there's just nothing that's appealing about your shows anyway. But to see them perform the way they do, it puts me in a really fucking like, damn, man. Because, like, I mean, there's so many bands, if you're going to think that have been a part of your lifestyle that were before and popular before you were even around to go to shows.
Yep.
And now they're still touring, even though there was a period of time where you didn't think it was possible. And then it's, you know, that time might pass and you may never be able to see them.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, they're a ticking time bomb as it is anyway.
Yeah.
And, you know, they all have successful shit they did outside of that band.
Yep.
I mean, I'm not saying this could potentially be the last chance you ever get to see them. But then again, I mean, for how much those tickets are, I mean, you're not going to catch me. I already seen it on YouTube, so I know that it's good.
Yeah.
And if you haven't seen it yet, I highly suggest to go watch it. You will not be disappointed.
Yeah, they sound good.
Incredible.
It's even like Red Hot Chili Peppers, like getting John Frusciante back. Like, one of the things about Rage and bands like Red Hot Chili Peppers is like that aggression and that like upbeat, you know, stage performance is always something that you go to see them for, you know? And that was the thing I was kind of worried about, seeing Zach De La Rocha and seeing him like how he would be on stage. And dude, he provides like the same energy
fucking
as he did in Woodstock days.
And you know what's so funny too with like their setup? It's so minimalistic.
I know.
There's like nothing. Like there's no light shows. There's no like nothing crazy. There's just a video screen behind them and that's it.
Yeah.
It's just, it was such a cool fucking show to see them.
Yeah.
And to see them come back. That was the first show. It was just incredible.
Band I definitely want to see.
However, I mean, I wish they'd practice what they preach just a tiny bit.
Rage, $20 tickets. It's not too much to ask. I think
exactly. They've been fucking hanging out with Dave Grohl or something.
Yeah, that I'll never get over that long price to go see Foo Fighters.
Eric paid that money to see them.
We'll have to talk about that next time he's on.
Yeah, and he was like, bro, it was worth it. I was like, no, it wasn't. Like, trust me, because they're not going to do anything as good as live at Wembley, and I didn't pay to watch that shit. Speaking of Dave Grohl and Foo Fighters, we lost Taylor Hawkins this year.
Yeah.
Foo Fighters did give out the dates of 2 shows, tribute shows, and did you see the lineup for those shows? Dude, like crazy motherfuckers, like Stuart Copeland, Alex and Getty from Rush. Dude, there's all kinds of fucking... Wolfgang Van Halen's going to be there. There's all kinds of people are paying tribute to Taylor Hawkins. Now, I'm assuming at these shows and during press and shit like that for them, they're probably going to say what the future of Foo Fighters is going to be. I wouldn't be upset if they decided to end the band at this particular point in time.
Yeah.
You know, in the beginning, it was just Dave Grohl and it was all Dave Grohl. And then it became Dave Grohl and Taylor Hawkins, and that was it. Now it's the whole thing.
Basic, yeah.
Exactly. I mean, you're not going to see... I'm not comparing Foo Fighters to Rush by any means, but you're not going to see Alex and Getty get another drummer and go tour as Rush.
Yeah, and I think
you're not going to have
Fighters,
another band, or, you know, you're not going to have Van Halen replace Eddie Van Halen.
Yeah.
And, you know...
Foo Fighters, too, has been really one of those bands that's kind of made their name through the consistency of touring, too. Like, every new Foo Fighters album, there's never been anything that's come out that's, like, wowed me in the past several years, to say the least.
2011 was the last time I was wowed by Foo Fighters.
Yeah, and... Yeah, I don't know. With things like this, and this is going to bring us into another topic of discussion when we talk about bands losing important members and continuing to go on, foreshadowing to the next thing I'm going to bring up. I don't know, man. I think it just does it a disservice, I guess. Especially like I like what Joy Division did when Joy Division lost Ian Curtis. They reformed as a band, but as New Order. You know, they were playing similar music, but it was new, it was fresh, and they weren't going out there projecting themselves as Joy Division, playing Joy Division songs. There were certain moments where they did cover songs in very limited fashion, but you know, I don't know. I think it's really tough because you're right. Those first couple albums, it was really just Dave Grohl. Like, he could have done whatever he wanted. He was like a Chuck Schuldiner mastermind, his project. But then, it took on a life of its own where then it became like the members that were in the band, but especially Taylor Hawkins has been like is staple to that band.
Yep.
You know? But yeah, and then also too, just the circumstances of his death. Me personally, I guess it's just like my own personal bias. I get irritated, especially when it's like substance related, that people just have such like comments to say about it and are just like, that's stupid, what an idiot, and like, how could you do that? And it's just sad because substance use is obviously a problem in our country. I mean, especially in our state, but in the country as a whole. And like, this just goes to show you, like with certain, and another individual I'm going to bring up has, new news as well. But, celebrities aren't immune to that. I mean, no. Taylor Hawkins had a documented struggles with drugs, and, for people to come out and make it seem like this was just like a personal choice and that, he did it to himself type attitude, it sucks because it ties in with mental health. It ties in with, understanding and breaking that stigma. And it's sad that like a lot of artists like this become a martyr to that, because then it really exposes like the need for awareness. But more and more people, when like things like this happen, it's like just, let the people who care and, grieve properly. But the internet is just such a fucking wild place where you see some of the people come out of woodwork just to say fucking like way whatever out of pocket shit for like what? Like I like me personally, I find it morbidly interesting that there could be an absolute stranger to see the death of somebody and just for no reason whatsoever, like fucking idiot. Like why, bro?
It almost makes you wish there was like a policing figure like in Jay and Silent Bob Strike Back.
Yeah, just to go around where they just like fuck up strangers on the internet. Yeah, because I get it. Free speech. Say whatever the fuck you want. Nobody's harping on that. But at the same exact time, and like, I don't know, like there's a lot of things that I see from time to time, and it's just like I may fucking absolutely hate it. And it's just like, just by not saying anything, I'm saying a lot, know? So I don't know, man. But that Jay and Silent Bob, I'm thinking about that. It's so funny.
Did you say, you say Jay and Silent Bob are fucking clown shoes?
Yeah, their entire royalties just went around and fought everybody on the internet. I'm surprised that hasn't been made into like a meme yet, where it's like things that you wish you could do when you see someone's fucking comments on the internet, because it's so relevant to today. But yeah, tying that in to bands that continue on despite missing key members.
Well, I was going to say, do you want to save that for another topic?
Let's say that for another topic.
Yeah, we'll save that for another, because that could be a whole...
Foreshadowing.
Stay tuned.
Yeah.
Another huge fucking blow to the music industry was Trevor from the Black Dahlia murder.
Yeah. Yeah, that was a real sudden one, too. And it's sad that sometimes this is what it takes, but then I went back. I was really listening to Black Dahlia for like several weeks after that happened, like really listening to like especially Nocturnal and Unhallowed.
Oh yeah,
what a vocalist, man. Like for him to incorporate all those different elements of style in every song, and he was just like never like that mainstream like corpse grinder figure,
Yeah, exactly.
But Black Dahlia Murder was always that like middling of the road, just consistent, no bullshit band, no like, I don't know, man. And it sucked because it's weird, again, going back to seeing bands and having opportunities to see them and not seeing them. And then you never know.
Yeah.
Like, you never know. Now it's like that opportunity's gone. Like, Black Dahlia Murder could absolutely get another vocalist if they chose to do that. They're not going to. But I'm saying even an event at this point, even if they did, it's not Black Dahlia Murder.
No.
Like, that is another person of a band that you'll never get that back.
Brandon Ellis, the guitar player from Black Dahlia Murder, he now plays with Exodus.
Really? Well, he just released new music too. Was he on the new album?
No, he wasn't on the new album. He's touring with them right now.
Oh, okay.
And he's a bad motherfucker too.
Yeah.
But I guess to lighten this up for a couple more deaths, Travis Barker got married twice in the span.
Good for him.
I think it was like March 4th he got married to Kourtney Kardashian, and then April 11th he got married again.
Yeah.
In a different city.
Yeah. Because you have to do that now.
Oh, yeah. If you didn't get married twice, did it really happen?
Are you really married?
Yeah. Are you really married?
Yeah. You need to talk to Nicole about this.
Yeah. No. I don't think I could stand another wedding.
I did want to mention something relevant to deaths, but on a good news. So back on July 22nd, artist who's no longer with us, Mac Miller, they re-released one of his mixtapes, I Love Life, Thank You. These mixtapes were part of his Road to a Million Fans that he started back in 2011, where every 100,000 fans, he would release songs every time he gained that much following, and he would keep releasing. And once he had 1 million fans, he released his mixtape. Same with like Faces. Like he has a bunch of mixtapes that were released and then, made into albums, and then a lot of his estate pulled it back. And the Mac Miller estate is one of like my best examples of like the way to treat posthumous music. They're very protective about it. They're very conscientious to make sure what they're releasing, like the artists themselves, they would believe would find integrable. And they re-released this album back on the 22nd. And it's always cool to see that. I think it's really good when it's like handled better with care, because not only that, but like you're getting a very authentic, this is what he would have wanted. And he's another artist, like same thing, he was one that I almost treat it like in the same context like Amy Winehouse, like just starting to like really hit the prime of his career, like was peaking, was, making so much good music. And then all of a sudden, it's gone.
Yeah.
And it's good stuff like this, that there's like old works out there that were pulled from streaming services that are getting put back on there. But again, it's coming from the estate to have that approval. Because I always hated that. I always hate when you get like posthumous music by artists, and it's like you're listening to it because you're hearing technically new music by this artist. And his biggest one was the album Circles, which was his last release, and it was a posthumous release. But the producer of the album, had met with him many times before his passing, and like was, this is basically what his vision was going to be, and they did it together with the family as well as, and they constructed this album and released it, and it's great, and to see this come out, I like seeing that again, because then you get like more opportunity to listen to music that you haven't been able to listen to in, our streaming services. So yeah, that was something that recently came out too.
I got a couple more deaths. These ones hit a little close to home. Actually, not really, but Alec John Such, the bass player for Bon Jovi. You may know him from particular songs as Wanted Dead or Alive. And then Brett Tuggle. He was the keyboardist for David Lee Roth. He died at the age of 70 of cancer, and he basically played on all the big David Lee Roth shit. So like he played on Skyscraper. He played on Eat 'Em and Smile. He left right before Little Ain't Enough. But all like the big David Lee Roth songs, this dude played on them. And I think he toured with like Foreigner or some shit. I forget who he toured with afterwards, but he was a touring guy after that. But yeah, so I think those are the last two that I have of crazy shit that happened. Yeah, God forbid reuniting. And Azalea Dying, yeah, I start with those first. I wanted it to be like sort of happy before we hit it with all the death and destruction and all that other shit. But yeah. So I guess that's your catch up for.
Well, I want to add too, Kendrick
months.
Lamar dropped a new album, which is probably one of the better hip-hop albums. Megadeth's dropping new music. Lamb of God dropped some new music as well. But then also everybody's favorite release of this year, recently in between the last time we were on, was Drake's new album. Hit us up if you like Drake's new album at our social medias.
I haven't heard
What a piece of garbage that was. Oh, it's bad.
Speaking of garbage, Ozzy released 2 new songs.
I honestly, just listening to what was it?
Which one? The Iommi one or the other one? Yeah, Degradation something.
Yeah, that song's like not that bad. Patient Number 9 though,
garbage. You heard it here.
It's wonder
fucking garbage.
Yeah, these are at some of the moments. And this is my daily Tool check-in, by the way. Fear Inoculum is still their worst album of release. I digress on most of what I said when that album was dropped. Because that's the thing, man. I mean, even with like guys like Ozzy, it's like there's just that stream credit behind it where, regardless of what they put out, we find a reason to like it. Yeah. And it becomes very biased. And I mean, but the Tony Iommi, I think there's just something about Tony Iommi's guitar tone that has always like I found appealing. Like I listen to Paranoid on a regular basis off my turntable just because it produces such a good sound. But it's just his guitar tone is what really like that's one of those bands between like Geezer Butler and Bill Ward. Like their sounds,
that whole rhythm section.
It's just so good.
It's Sabbath.
It's so good. Like that doom metal feel, but with that rock and roll influence to it, with that just evil undertone. But then Ozzy's more upbeat. Everything about Sabbath is just so good. So hearing Iommi on a new song with Ozzy, that tone, I think that's what's like keeping me like, oh, I have hopes for what's to come. But then you show me Patient Number 9 afterwards, and
And like even with that though, I was like trying to find a redeeming quality. I'm like the pre-chorus is kind of cool.
Tried, yeah.
The harmony was cool.
Tried, yeah.
Jeff Beck's kind of cool.
Going back to music videos that are slacking nowadays.
Yeah,
it's
right.
Like,
that
what
was
the
like
fuck was that made
like the
on?
biggest trash
Looks like
I've
some
ever
dude
seen.
from New Jersey Institute of Technology was given like $45 and say, "Hey, manifest this fucking video for Ozzy right now."
Yeah, right.
And he did this in his free time in between
Like,
finals.
Even the cartoon for Hellraiser with Lemmy and Ozzy together, like that was better.
Yeah.
Like that was like way better.
Yeah.
But like, yeah, I don't know, man. I just have this thing with like I don't want to be like Ozzy should give up and he should be done. I don't think that. But it comes to a certain point to where it's like, are you tarnishing your name by putting this
but it's
out?
also too, let's
know?
think about this in long term, right? Ordinary man. It's on his discography.
Mm-hmm.
Albums as they get released, and I think about the idea of when you're releasing music like this, it's the thought that it's going to be there for a while. Like, for instance, like I'll go back and listen to Diary of a Madman.
Yeah.
I'll go back and listen to Blizzard of Oz. At any point in your life, do you foresee yourself thinking like, I kind of feel like I'm in an ordinary man mood?
No.
You know what I mean? Like, and like even Guns N' Roses. Like, I guess at some point it's like you're just, and that's the one thing I like. I hate that it's because their careers were cut short. But similar things with bands like The Doors or like Nirvana, where their discographies are shorter than what they probably could have been if not for the result of tragedy. But it's complete. Like I'll listen to everything Nirvana dropped at some point. I'll have a reason. Alice in Chains, same way. Like I'll find a way to listen to Sap just because like I'm in that type of mood. But there's so many bands where they have like 4 or 5 albums that are just at the tail end of their career, and it's just I never see myself in a moment where I'm like, I'm patient number 9's kind of just on the brain right now.
No, like you're not gonna catch me listening to Scream. The Ozzy, you probably have you ever listened to Scream?
No,
it's not good.
That's probably why I haven't heard it.
Like even Osmosis has more of like a soft spot for me than any of the other shit that was released past.
Well,
I mean, even Black Rain was good, but I mean, then again, we're all talking about albums that did not feature Zakk Wylde that I don't like. But I think anyone that has half a brain can go like, okay, yeah, I think we're kind of done now.
Yeah, it's
like I said to you, like when you hear his voice, like the memes you see on Facebook, it's like, I asked AI to generate a picture of Elon Musk eating crayons.
Yeah, the
like
Dahlia mini thing. Yeah.
It's almost like someone had made that meme and said, I asked AI to sing an Ozzy song.
Ozzy,
and boom, that's what it is. It doesn't sound like him. It doesn't have the same feel. The Iomi song is definitely different than the rest of them, but it just doesn't sound like him.
Yeah.
It's just not.
Yeah.
It's like that meme, like, you're not my dad. Like that. It's like that meme, but it's like, you're not my Ozzy.
Like if you just played that song to somebody, it would look and sound probably like a cover band trying to release Ozzy music. It's almost like the Greta Van Fleet to Led Zeppelin. Yeah. But it's the same person, though.
So what do you think? Did you like Patient Number 9? Do you think we're way, way, way off with our views of MTV and Rob Dyrdek? Hit us up on our social medias. Facebook.com/
Do you prefer BD or a BR? BR?
BRAR?
I think before Dyrdek sounds better. BD, like AD, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's like BD and AD?
Yeah, but they already have an AD, though.
But this is our AD. We'll keep it at AR, fine. But AR sounds a little violent.
BD, oh, yeah.
Before Dyrdek, after Rob.
BB, before Bob Dyrdek.
I don't think he's ever been called Bob.
Yeah.
What do you think it should be? No.
Get us on a social media page. We're going to have a poll.
God.
BD and AD. Okay. Find us on our social media accounts. Facebook.com/RATM Podcast. Instagram and Twitter at RATM Podcast. Or you can write us an email at ratmpodcast@gmail.com. But let's do our first suggestions of the week for season 4. I'll go first with this one. My suggestion for this week is to check out the 2003 posthumous album from Tupac called Tupac Resurrection. My standout track for this is Runnin', Dying to Live. I heard this the other day, and hearing Tupac and Biggie on a song together is always really fucking cool.
Mm-hmm.
And like just the fucking just the lines in this song was just like incredible. Yeah. And I was like, why couldn't this have been like for real?
Yep. Yeah, that's another growing up song I heard on TV.
Yup.
Yeah. My recommendation is going to be the 1992 release by the band Cayuse, Blues for the Red Sun. The song I am picking is Green Machine.
Nice.
Little like...
I never got into them at all.
No?
Like ever.
I didn't either for a while, and then I saw a post of them on an Instagram page that just posts only grunge music or 90s relevant, and this song particularly was the one, so I was like, oh shit, that song's really fucking good, because this is where I go back to live music.
Yeah.
This is why I say with seeing bands like Rage and stuff like that, it's one thing to like watch them on YouTube, it's one thing to like listen to the albums, but when you actually see bands live, it does something. Like every time I listen to bands afterwards, like there's something more about them now. And like seeing this live is what made me get back and re-listen to their albums. And this album particularly is really fucking good.
The only thing I ever knew about them is that their bass player auditioned for Metallica.
Yeah, I just saw a post about that too.
And it was like really bad.
Really bad.
Like out of all the auditions, he was the worst.
Horrible, yeah.
Like he was even worse than fucking Ziggy, whatever the fuck his name was, from A Perfect Circle.
I'm telling you this though, for someone, when me and you have been discussing this, for getting into the doom metal genre much more than normal, check this album out.
Isn't this Josh Homme too? No. What band was Josh Homme in? I'm like thinking about this right now.
Probably. I don't know specifics. This is not a band that I'm not 100% familiar with.
He was in like a doom type band almost like this. It was a band that it was just a one word.
Insert a Jeopardy. Yeah. Oh, wait. Eagles of Death Metal and Queens of the Stone Age.
Homme was formerly the co-founder and guitarist of the rock band Cayuse from 87 to 95.
Oh, yeah, you're right.
Damn. Mic drop.
There it is. Learn something new every day.
See, man, I know things.
What you don't realize was this was a setup for me to act aloof to that question, because now you're finding interest in this band.
Well, I don't like Josh Homme. I think he's a jerk off. But I mean, I'll listen to it now.
He's a jerk off, and the other bassist who just couldn't even fucking hack it in the Metallica audition when they literally didn't have.
Literally 2/4 of this band already sounds like it sucks.
Wait, hold on. Wait, what the fuck was I gonna say? Who played bass for Saint Anger? What's his name? The producer.
Oh, Bob Rock.
Bob Rock. So, for instance, this guy couldn't match up to the talents.
Bob Rock was better than him.
Yeah, that's what I mean. That's how you know.
There was one video.
I promise you, though, this album is good. Please listen.
I don't know. 2/4 of this already
Hear me out.
Good.
I promise you.
There was a video I just saw recently of Bob Rock rehearsing with Metallica, and I think what song?
Did he actually try to like be a full time?
Yes.
Yeah, I remember that.
He
too.
auditioned for it.
Yeah.
And come on, he was never getting it.
That was no shot.
But there was after the show, I'm gonna have to pull it up because there was a video of him like trying to sing with James, and like it was like bad. And like Lars was just like looking around like what the fuck are you doing, man?
We have to watch this.
Oh, dude, it was hilarious.
Let's put this on now.
But we're going to go watch that. And if you're on YouTube, you just watch this. Thank you for tuning back into another season of Rage Against the Mainstream podcast. We already have a lot of shit ready for this season. And I think I'm going to go out on a limb here and say this might be the best season yet so far. I mean, we're not even anywhere close to even like halfway done the planning.
We're actually putting a little bit more effort into our planning for episodes.
There's a little more effort.
A little bit.
So yeah, I mean, follow us on our social media pages to keep updated on everything. Facebook.com/RATM podcast. Instagram and Twitter at RATM podcast. Write us an email, ratmpodcast@gmail.com. If you're in a band, you have an uncle that's in a band, send us your music. We'll review it. We'll give you a spotlight on the show. I mean, you may or may not like what we have to say about your music, but we'll give you a completely unfiltered, unbiased opinion.
Absolutely.
RATMpodcast@gmail.com. But until then, this is another episode of Rage Against the Mainstream podcast for the books. As always, I'm Bill.
I'm Steve.
Have a good night, guys. Thanks for listening.